My husband trusted John, but I couldn't resist. What happened that weekend in Dubai changed everything forever. Selena could barely contain her anxiety as the jet landed in Dubai. The mansion by the artificial lake looked like something out of a fairy tale, but what should have been a perfect vacation already carried an invisible tension. Dennis, always impeccable, seems more concerned with his meetings than with her, greeting them with a formal smile. John, her brother-in-law, was there, impeccably groomed and with that provocative look in his eyes. During dinner, Dennis engaged in long business conversations, leaving Selena and John practically alone. The closeness between them grew with each shared laugh, each casual touch that lingered for a few seconds too long. Selena felt heat rising, mixed with the fear of making a mistake. John leaned closer, whispering something that made her body freeze with anticipation. She tried to pull back, but something held her back, as if hypnotized by him. The tension in the air was almost palpable, and forbidden desire burned silently. In the room, while Dennis called his partners, John entered under the pretense of helping her with her luggage. His eyes met hers intensely and directly, and Selena realized there was more to that look than amusement. A shiver ran down her spine, and she wondered if it was right to feel that way. John's hands lightly brushed hers, and an uncontrollable spark ignited. She closed her eyes, trying to convince herself it was just her imagination. But deep down, she knew it was the beginning of something dangerous. Throughout the night, small glances and gestures made Selena increasingly vulnerable. John had a way of looking at her that made her forget everything around her. Every laugh, every comment seemed charged with intentions Dennis would never have imagined. She found herself questioning her own limits, but she couldn't shake off the thought of him. Her heart pounded, and a feeling of guilt mixed with excitement consumed her. Everything seemed about to explode into something no one could control. When Selena finally laid down, trying to swallow the whirlwind of emotions, she heard a noise outside. Someone was walking down the mansion's quiet hallway. It was John, who approached with a seductive smile and a look that promised that this night would only be the beginning. Selena felt her blood run cold and at the same time an uncontrollable desire. She knew that when she opened the door, nothing would ever be the same again, but the worst was yet to come. Selena could barely sleep, remembering John's intense gaze just minutes ago. His every step down the hallway seemed to echo inside her mind, the awakening desire she would never admit. Guilt and excitement mingled, creating an unbearable tension. She wondered if she was about to cross a line she could never return from. John, on the other side of the door, seemed to feel the same, and the silence between them was charged with unspoken promises. Every second that passed increased the heat coursing through her body. At breakfast, Dennis remained absorbed in his business conversations, leaving Selena and John alone once again. His teasing way of bringing up trivial topics seemed harmless, but every gesture hid burning intentions. Selena tried to stay away, but her gaze frequently met his, sending uncontrollable shivers down her spine. The familiar surroundings became a minefield of forbidden emotions, and she knew a simple touch could change everything. The tension didn't ease. On the contrary, it grew with each laugh, each approach. Later, John invited her to walk along the artificial lake, claiming he wanted to show her the view. Selena felt butterflies in her stomach, knowing it wasn't just the scenery that made her uneasy. His hands occasionally brushed hers, and each touch was an explosion of sensation. His voice, low and captivating, whispered words that made her forget she was married. Selena's heart pounded, and she found herself imagining what would happen if she gave in to temptation.
The danger seemed as real as it was irresistible. As they walked, Selena tried to convince herself she needed to pull away, but John seemed to read every hesitation. A lingering, intense look, a suggestive smile, and the distance she tried to maintain disappeared. Her mind fought against desire, and each step beside him was a step closer to the forbidden. Every word they exchanged carried an emotional weight that put her body on alert. She knew she was playing with fire, but she couldn't stop herself from getting closer. When they returned to the mansion, Dennis was still absorbed in his meetings, oblivious to what was happening. Selena went upstairs to her room, her body trembling with excitement and guilt, unaware that John was following her silently, as if anticipating her movements. She turned to him, and in that instant, she knew everything could change with just one gesture. And in that instant, everything she believed to be true began to crumble.
Selena couldn't believe what she felt. Every time John got close, her body reacted on its own, and guilt mixed with excitement in a way that was almost unbearable. The silent mansion seemed to conspire against her, making each look and gesture feel intimate. She tried to tell herself it was only vacation excitement, but the intensity of desire spoke louder. John seemed to know exactly how to provoke every reaction without ever touching her outright. The air was thick, and she felt that any second could be decisive. During the afternoon, Dennis spent hours in business meetings, leaving Selena and John free. They explored the mansion and gardens, and with each moment, the tension escalated. An accidental touch on her hand made her heart race, and she realized there was no control left. John's proximity and the scent of him seemed to overwhelm her senses. Her body reacted before her mind could, and she knew she was approaching a limit. Later, John suggested swimming in the lake, saying the water would refresh them after the heat. Selena hesitated, but gave in. The water touching their bodies made the intimacy unavoidable, and each movement carried intention. Their nervous laughter blended with silent tension, and the touch of his hand sent shivers she couldn't explain. Every gesture seemed designed to seduce her, and Selena felt fear and desire at the same time. Back in the mansion, Selena tried to rationalize, but emotions dominated her. The forbidden desire for John was now impossible to ignore, and each step with him drew her deeper. She knew she was risking everything: her marriage, her reputation, her peace of mind. But even knowing that, she couldn't pull away. Danger was present in every glance and touch, and her heart screamed silently. When she finally entered her room, thinking she might regain control, she found John leaning against the door, looking intensely at her. The air vibrated between them, and Selena realized the next step could change everything. She knew that moment could alter her life forever. She had no idea, but that night would mark the beginning of a storm that would destroy everything she knew. Night fell over the mansion, and the darkness seemed to intensify the forbidden desire between Selena and John. Every step he took in the corridor made her heart race, guilt battling the excitement in an almost unbearable way. They met discreetly on the balcony overlooking the lake, where no one could see them. The silence between them was electric, and every gesture seemed carefully calculated to provoke emotions neither could control. Selena shivered, knowing she was about to give in to what she shouldn't. John approached slowly, reading every hesitation. A light touch on her hand made her breath falter, and she felt warmth rising with guilt and longing. His words were whispers loaded with hidden intentions, and Selena realized resisting would be nearly impossible. Each second with him seemed eternal, while the outside world ceased to exist. She tried to maintain control, but every look and gesture pulled her toward the forbidden.
Before she knew it, John pulled her close, their bodies touching in a way that felt inevitable. Selena felt a mix of fear and desire, where she was crossing lines she never imagined. The scent, the touch, the closeness all contributed to a storm of emotions. She tried to pull away, but the attraction was overwhelming. Every moment amplified the intensity, making it impossible to deny what they wanted. Suddenly, a noise echoed from the main room, freezing them both. Dennis, returning unexpectedly, walked by without noticing the scene. Selena's heart froze, and the fear of being caught mixed with adrenaline. John released her discreetly, and their shared look said it all. The danger only made it more exciting. The near exposure made everything more forbidden and addictive. Back in her room, Selena tried to catch her breath and regain rationality, but what happened on the balcony left her restless and craving more. Her body and mind were at war, and she wondered if she could resist in the coming days. She didn't know it yet, but every step with John pulled her closer to a secret that could ruin her life forever. Selena's nights became sleepless, filled with the memory of John's touch and the guilt that gnawed at her. Each glance at Dennis reminded her of the secret burning inside her chest, a truth that could destroy everything. Yet, John's magnetic presence was irresistible, and she found herself longing for stolen moments. The mansion's walls seemed to whisper their forbidden secret. John grew bolder, leaving subtle touches and words that made Selena's heart race. At dinners, when Dennis raised a toast, John's gaze found hers, igniting silent flames between them. Every shared look deepened the deception. The air thickened with unspoken truths. One night, by the lake, John held her closer than before. His whisper promised a future that terrified and thrilled her. One day, it will just be you and me. Selena's breath caught, torn between fear and desire. The world seemed to collapse around them. The shadows of betrayal stretched over every step she took. Even the sound of Dennis's voice felt distant, fading against the weight of her secret. Each touch from John promised pleasure, but carved deeper wounds into her conscience. The line between love and ruin blurred. She knew the truth couldn't stay buried forever. Yet, despite the danger, she couldn't stop herself. Every heartbeat drew her closer to disaster. But Selena had no idea that the first cracks in their perfect facade were about to show. Dennis wasn't blind, though Selena wanted to believe he was. He noticed her sudden silences, the way she avoided his eyes, the slight tremor in her hands. Something was wrong, though he couldn't yet name it. His gut twisted with unease. John, on the other hand, acted as if nothing had changed. His laughter echoed through the mansion, his charm blinding everyone but Dennis. Yet beneath the smiles, tension brewed like a storm ready to break. Dennis watched quietly, storing every detail in his mind. One evening, he returned earlier than expected from a business dinner. From the hallway, he heard muffled voices, laughter that wasn't meant for him. His steps froze, his hand pressed against the door, torn between opening it or retreating into ignorance. When he entered, the scene was innocent, too innocent. Selena and John stood too far apart, their smiles strained. Dennis's eyes narrowed, catching the flicker of guilt that neither could hide. The silence afterward was heavier than words. From that moment, suspicion rooted itself in Dennis's heart.
He would wait, he would watch, and eventually he would uncover the truth. And what he found would shatter everything he believed about love and loyalty. Despite the growing danger, Selena couldn't break free from John. Every stolen kiss was a rebellion against her own vows. Every embrace a declaration of war against reason. She knew she was walking on shattered glass, yet her feet moved forward willingly. John fed her fire, whispering promises that intoxicated her soul. He painted pictures of escape, of nights where nothing and no one could stand between them. Selena's heart clung to those illusions, even as her mind screamed of the abyss awaiting them. They met in hidden corners of the mansion, their passion stronger than their fear. Every wall became a silent witness, every night a gamble with fate. Selena lived for those fleeting moments, her body alive in ways she had never known before. But the guilt never left. Each touch from John came with the ghost of Dennis's face, each sigh haunted by the trail. Selena carried her double life like a shadow she couldn't outrun. And still, she returned to the flame that burned her. The forbidden love consumed her, yet she couldn't let it go. And just when she thought they could hide forever, fate was already preparing the cruelest twist of all. The days that followed were heavy with silence. Dennis withdrew into himself, his presence colder than ever. John disappeared, his absence louder than his laughter had ever been. Selena was left to face the ruins of her choices. She wandered through the mansion's halls, haunted by memories of what had been and what had been lost. Each room carried whispers of passion and betrayal, reminders of the fire she had let consume her. The air was suffocating. Dennis's glances no longer held warmth, only a wall of ice. His silence spoke louder than any scream, cutting deeper than anger. Selena longed for forgiveness, yet knew it might never come. John's shadow lingered in her heart. She hated him for leaving, for stirring her desires, but part of her still ached for him. The contradiction tore her apart, leaving her restless and broken. Life after the storm felt empty, but Selena knew she couldn't run forever, because the hardest lessons still awaited her, the price of truth and the scars it leaves behind. Nights stretched endlessly, forcing Selena to confront her choices. The fire with John had burned bright but left nothing but ashes in her hands. She faced herself in the mirror, seeing not the woman she once was, but the one shaped by her secrets. Dennis's silence was a sentence, one she bore every day. She still loved him, in her own way, but she had destroyed the bond between them. Trust once broken is a fragile glass that cannot be pieced together without scars. John became a ghost from another life, too close to forget, too far to hold on to. Selena wondered if he had truly loved her, or if she had been just another chapter in his story of fleeting desires. The question remained unanswered. In the quiet of her room, she finally admitted the truth. Forbidden passions may feel irresistible, but they demand a price no heart can truly pay. The mansion, the lake, the luxury, it all seemed hollow compared to what she had lost. With eyes closed, she whispered to herself, a vow born from pain. Some flames should never be touched. And in that vow lay the weight of her story, one carved by desire, betrayal, and the inevitable cost of truth. As Selena lay awake, the silence of the mansion pressing heavily on her chest, she realized that forbidden passions always leave scars. What started as an irresistible flame ended as a storm that tore apart everything she once believed was unshakable.
Desire can ignite quickly, but the truth burns far longer. Her story is not just about betrayal, but about choices, about how one secret can unravel a perfect facade and force someone to confront who they truly are. Selena learned in the most painful way that love without limits can cost everything: peace, trust, and even the life she thought was hers. And now I want to ask you, what would you have done in Selena's place? Would you have given in to the passion or resisted until the end? Your opinion matters, because stories like this are not just fiction. They hold up a mirror to our deepest fears and desires. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories filled with love and betrayal and unexpected twists. And remember, sometimes the greatest lessons come wrapped in the most dangerous temptations.